Parents often roll their eyes when their children talk about their career aspirations. Ash Singh's parents were no different. Watch and listen to Ash Singh of Equity Builders as we asked him, how'd you get started? Born in London, England, Ash Singh emigrated to Canada in 1976. His parents wanted him to pursue a career in medicine or law, but Ash heard a different call.
I would say probably the biggest influence making a decision of what I wanted to do in life was Donald Trump. I had read some of his books. At the age of 17, 18, I had to make a career decision of what we wanted to do. And I found that 80% of the millionaires in the United States had made their money in real estate. So I figured those were pretty good odds to tackle.
His parents didn't agree with his career choice, but after a while they realized Ash was onto something big, and he made Equity Builders a business for the family to get involved with.
Interesting, like I said to you, the family was kind of against what I was doing when I first started, but as I started to build this business, they saw the success of where I was going. My mom had been a real estate agent for 20 years with RE/MAX, GT Singh, and finally dissolved her business to come into what we do on the investment side. My wife, Mona Singh, being a chartered accountant, master's in accounting, figured was a great fit for what we do because we deal with investments and a lot of money and a lot of long-term strategy planning. It was a direct, correct fit for her as well. My sister, Kieran Brooms, working for Green Park at the time, was involved in their sales department, and again, being a natural fit in sales, we have that division as well. Thought that we could grow that function as well.
We asked Ash if he learns more from successes or failures.
It's hard to learn from your successes because everything's rosy and everything looks good, so you don't really analyze it as much. One that is self-driven will look at the failure because everything comes to a halt, or it could have an impact of where you're going. So if one looks at it from a logical point of view, it's always very important to analyze your failure going forward to make yourself stronger.
Financing a business is always challenging, and it's not for timid people. Ash laid everything on the line to start his company.
When we started off, I had to leverage myself quite hefty. Before I had started this business, I had already made my first $1 million, so I had money saved from what I had already accomplished. I pretty much leveraged all of my assets to derive what we have today and to build what we have today. It was huge risk. I can even, say that my own father-in-law sat me down and said, "What are you doing?" I left a pretty good job making a six-figure income to see if I could do this on my own. So, there's that saying, no risk, no reward, but we truly believed in what we were doing and we felt that it was the right thing to do. And to date, it's been successful.
Equity Builders has had great growth since opening the doors in November of 2004.
The company started with 4 of us. My mom, Kieran, myself, Robert Keleva, and also my wife running the accounting department. Within 4 years, we're up to over 30 staff. We also have, if I was to count outside staff, meaning the managers that run our properties, that would equate to about another additional 25 staff members. So there's been rapid growth in a short period of time. I would say that we've taken this company from a small company to a $100 million company in 4 years. I think it defied the odds of what most people thought we could achieve. When we started, banks really didn't want to work with us because they were reluctant to see what we were doing. I think age was a big factor for myself to defy odds because people thought, okay, he's just a young guy, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And so the biggest achievement, I would say, is that we've taken the company where we needed to today, and that banks now chase us for business, and that I and we as a company have earned the respect in the industry that we're in.
Being raised in an environment of trust, you learn to trust others. This admirable part of Ash's character could have cost him everything.
When I went out into the business world, I talk about trust. I went into a venture with another individual, on a handshake agreement. And it was a very costly venture that turned out to be very negative and put me very much behind the 8 ball. And it could have been damaging. And I think the most hurtful part of it was not just the business part of it, but the friendship that we had developed, and to lose a friend over it was more painful than the actual monetary value of it. To pick yourself up from that position, it's tough. You got to dig deep, and hopefully your strength will prevail.
Building a company means building a great team. Ash tells us what he looks for when hiring talent.
And I think character is very important when hiring individuals. People need a backbone. People need to be able to be accountable for their decisions. And as we said, people will make wrong decisions. I can admit myself, if I made wrong decisions in life, yes, I have. But we learn from them, and you hope at the end of the day you've made more right decisions than wrong. And that I would equate that to success. And so I try to tell staff as well when we hire them that, and I look for qualities more so not on the resume of what they've achieved through books and school, is their character as to how they actually feel about certain situations. And that, to me, if I had to choose education over character, I would take character, because it, I think, long-term has more value.
We asked this entrepreneur to define what the word entrepreneur means to him.
Discipline. Most people who have the ability to control themselves, what I mean by control themselves is to motivate themselves to be able to dig deep when you need to dig deep, are people that are truly successful. You look at, for example, boxers are a good example, of people that, even though when somebody's getting beaten up in a ring, they come back and they fight back, and it's because that inner strength within prevails. And some people are cut out for it. Athletes, you see it in them, they're all type A personalities. I think one of the key things to acknowledge as an individual, as an entrepreneur, is, are you a type A personality? Are you a driver by yourself? Because if you're not, I would say don't attempt it, because you'll probably likely fail.
No one can deny that Ash Singh has led equity builders to success, so we asked him to extend some advice to others.
I'll put it in an analogy that Canadians or Toronto people will understand. The Toronto Maple Leafs as an example. As bad as a hockey team as they are, there's 3 periods in a game. And after each period, they go back to the dressing room and they try to analyze what they did wrong to go out and take another shot at it. And I think that's probably if you look at what they do and take it to a business level, most people never analyze their mistakes or analyze it on a quarterly basis or a monthly basis to say, what mistakes have I made, and try to correct them. People also don't set goals. Well, how do you succeed if you don't have a place where you're going? And I think that's very important. So for any entrepreneur, those ones that are struggling, is that analyze your failure. Look at where you've went wrong, admit where you've made mistakes, and most importantly, admit your weaknesses, because we cannot be all good at everything. And try to concentrate at what you're good at and dictate everything else, all your weaknesses, to others that you